Hello and welcome to a podcast about something where each week we dive deep into whatever it is we find interesting. I'm your host, Calvin, and joining me from the pep rally in the gymnasium, it's your co-host, Nick Richardson.
I feel like I'm more at a death rally. Yeah. All the spittle going in the air. You know, no one's wearing masks either. It's scary here.
Well, it's not a real pep rally, and it's not a political rally. This is a pep rally from a teen or high school movie. I still haven't figured out what to actually call this episode because I feel like teen movies is a little too, squeamy.
What does that mean? A little too close to, I've never heard that word.
I don't know. So I'm listening to, here's the context, and I had this feeling a little bit before I listened to this episode of the Tennis Podcast, but I'm listening to the latest episode of the Tennis Podcast, and it was the most searched porn topics was their 10-ish list that they brought for the week, and teen was one of those, and they were mentioning how that feels weird to search teen, and I agreed, and I feel in the same way that calling these teen movies is a little weird. I might have to go with high school, but I also think we might get the weirdos who search teen on porn sites to click on this thinking they're getting some good porn content here when they're not. We're just going to be talking about Mean Girls for the next hour and a half.
You just hear a random in the background, and that'll do it for them. Yeah, I didn't even think about it in that context. That's kind of fucking... Yeah, I get it. I feel
when I first
because we're adults.
Exactly. And so, yeah. When I first built the outline, it was high school movie superlatives. We're doing teen/high school movie superlatives today. That's what we're doing. I don't know that I've formally announced that. But it was supposed to be high school movie superlatives. And then, I was like, well, these are really just, they're movies about teenagers. And I know, teen movies is a genre in of itself. You even got the parody of Not Another Teen Movie out there. So I'm kind of flip-flopping back and forth. Let us know on Twitter what you think this should be named. But it's already going to be named by then, so it doesn't really matter what you think.
Still let us know.
Yeah, sure.
If our name sucks for it, yeah, let us know. I'm curious to think what we could do instead.
It's going to be teen or high school. I don't know yet, but you'll know by the time you're listening to this. So, again, we're giving out movie superlatives. Once a month, we pick a type of movie and give out 5 awards to different movies from that genre. We give out 5 superlatives and 5 sucklatives at the end, which are the opposite of the superlatives. That's a new thing we've been doing, and that's actually almost more fun than the superlatives. Almost.
These are going to be pretty fun, not going to lie.
I love high school movies. It's one of the most fun genres out there, or subgenres.
See, I have not really dabbled too much in that genre. I haven't even seen some of the hits, man.
Oh my goodness. You got to go back. You got to watch all these movies that I'm going to talk about. You got to watch all of them because they're all fantastic.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I was talking to one of the guys that works with me, and I mentioned that I had never seen, spoilers, The Breakfast Club. And he about fist fought me. He's like, "You
honestly,
what?
At this point, it's 40 years later. You could take it or leave The Breakfast Club. It's good. I just watched it recently. I rewatched a lot of these. Usually, in the past, I haven't been able to watch the movies that I'm giving awards to or rewatch them. I had seen them, but this time I really tried to make a concerted effort to rewatch these leading up to this because I love high school movies, and The Breakfast Club was the last one I watched. I watched it just probably 4 days ago. It's fine. I've never the soundtrack is good, but I get what they're going for, and it's a good movie. But 40 years later, I don't know that you need to go out of your way to watch it.
I can't believe it. Oh my god!
When you say 35 years later, it's 1985. Yeah,
something like that. That's still a long time ago. Long
time
ago. But yeah, I don't know. I think it. Never mind. I'm gonna not say that.
Okay. Yeah, so before we get into the awards, I just want to say back to my love of teen movies or high school movies. Just when it's a good teen movie, they're really, really fun and usually funny, and they hold up this mirror to what high school society is, or what we believe it to be, or what people remember nostalgically what it is, but forget all of the bad parts. Like when you're, 15 years removed from high school, you forgot all the shitty parts of high school.
Oh my god, yeah.
So like you look back at it and kind of think your life was like a high school movie when it really wasn't. And even when high school movies are bad, they're still a pretty good thing. Like they're good to watch and to laugh at because they're so outlandish, or they've got like 35-year-olds playing 15-year-olds, and like there's no way you're believing this 35-year-old's a sophomore in high school, but like we're supposed to believe Chris Evans in 2004 as he's playing the Human Torch is also in a high school, like a high school
17.
senior. Paul
17,
Walker
18.
simultaneously in Fast and the Furious and Varsity Blues. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Not simultaneously, but like within 2 years of each other.
They do that quite often. Usually with extraordinarily short people, they're like, yeah, just get in there. You can blend right fucking in, buddy.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox had a good run of high school movies well into his 30s.
I'm thinking of the dude that played, Josh Hutcherson that played Peter Malark. Yep.
He had a good run of like teen high school movies. I felt like he got trapped in like the preteen era, though. He's like 20 and they're still trying to get him to play like a 13-year-old.
He's like 5'2", man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just get tired. Luckily, Joe Pesci was on screen murdering at least 50 people, so no one would dare.
Yeah, they weren't putting him in high school.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise had a solid run of being in high school too.
Keanu Reeves.
Yep. He's not short though.
No, he's like 6'4" and looked like a John Wick type back in the day.
Yeah, that's true. I've got a lot of movies to talk about. So we got our 5 awards. I think I've got honorable mentions for all of them. I even have honorable mentions for the Superlatives. So let's go over what the awards are. We're going to be giving out Best High School. This is the high school that you'd most want to attend from a movie. Best Friends. These are the best group, the best set or group of friends within a high school movie. Best Parents. Good teen movie. Got to have good parents. Otherwise, what's the point?
Most structure.
Exactly. Most likely to succeed beyond the movie. So like and this is this is perfect because this is like usually a yearbook superlative, and we're going to give it out here of most likely to succeed. Who's going to go off after this movie and be okay going to college or, going out in the real world. We need to know that. There's only one right answer really. And then the last one is Homecoming King and Queen, or Best Couple, for lack of a better term. But I like the Homecoming King and Queen since we're doing high school movies. You got to bring it back all the way around with Homecoming King and Queen.
I dig it.
And then we're going to give the opposite of those in the Superlatives. So worst versions of all those things.
I have a lot to say. A lot.
I do too.
I didn't realize I had as much to say about this until I started getting into it.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So my initial list of movies that like I thought of when thinking of the genre was 18 movies that like, okay, I want to try and hit these in some way or another. And then I have even more. Like I didn't hit all of those and I included other ones. So I probably am taking from like a 25 movie subset here that I'm going to be going off of. Damn. So I think we need to get into it so this doesn't turn into a 4-part episode.
Let's do it.
I could go longer on this than we went on Power Rangers if I were allowed to.
Oh my god. Maybe in the future we'll come up with a part 2.
All right, so best high school. Nick, you go first.
Easy pick. Well, yeah, it's an easy pick. That's Midtown School of Science and Technology from Spider-Man Homecoming.
That was on my list of honorable mentions here, but let's hear what you got for it.
I mean, I think that's a teen movie. They gotta dance.
Oh, absolutely.
All the angst, all that good stuff.
It's named after Homecoming. Like,
right.
It's gotta be.
I mean, that's the only way. That's the only thing it means. He's on a debate team. But that high school would be totally dope, man. I went to, like, quote unquote, the best public school in my city of 100,000 plus people. And if I went to a school like this, I would love it. It was super clean. Like, It was really clean. That's really awesome.
Yeah,
Being
that's
around a
helpful.
bunch of, smart people is pretty fucking cool. They take great field trips. I mean, awesome field trips. And Spider-Man goes there. So that's a fantastic high school.
Yeah, the school dance would be tough because you got fucking Shocker out there blasting the buses apart. So like the next day would be hard. But I fully agree that Spider-Man: Homecoming is a high school slash teen movie. It's set up that way purposefully, right? It's a teen movie with Spider-Man, with a superhero, and that's something that the MCU does really well. Is it makes different genre movies and throws a superhero into them, right?
Pretty much.
Ant-Man movies are heist movies with a superhero thrown in. Thor movies are high fantasy space opera movies. Um, what was the other one that there's another good example and I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Cap's
But
like
that's
a spy noir.
yes, that's the one. The
Iron
Captain
Man's,
America ones are
tech.
yeah. I mean, Iron Man is probably the closest to like this is just a superhero movie. Like there's other stuff going on, but I don't know that it's that you can fit them into other genres. Um, maybe a little science fictiony, but not fully. But yeah, the Cap with the spy thriller kind of feel to them, especially Winter Soldier. Civil War gets away from it a little bit because they had so much to cram into it, but it's still there.
Such a good series of movies. It might be the
Yes.
best in the MCU. Just throwing that out there.
We haven't had a Spider-Man 3 yet.
Yes. Well, it still would be a part of Phase 2, correct?
I don't know. We're on like Phase 5, I think. I don't.
Phase 5. Oh my god. I'm not in with the phases.
No, I don't understand the phases because like Phase 1 has like 6 movies and Phase 3 has like 34 movies, so I don't get it. Somebody out there who follows the MCU closer than us would know the answer to that.
I'm sure there's a lot. There's a lot.
I like that pick of that high school because like I tried to fit Spider-Man: Homecoming into here. It didn't into any of these awards. It never really hit with any of them. But I'm glad that you did because it's 100% a high school.
I had to, dude, because I thought my high school was cool, and I know this is in the Marvel, but I know there's schools like this. I started looking up shit, online, and it's just like, wow, obviously there's really fantastic. No one there really seemed all that shitty. Flash, I mean, he was kind of shitty, but
the bully is just kind of like a dick and like a rich douche. Like
if you slapped him one time, he would be done. He would never say anything to you ever again. He'd probably give you all the money in his pocket and his watch.
Oh, absolutely.
But, I just remember walking down the hallways in high school and people just fist fighting like crazy. It's just like, okay, I mean, you don't even really pay attention, and I don't know. I got all kinds of
a high school where the level of attendee is a little bit more mature than your average high school. That's not a bad thing, and I agree with that. Not. And they're all there in the pursuit of education, which is nice.
Well, not just education, but advanced education in the sense that they have the ability to create. They're inventing stuff and just all.
Well, that's what I meant. Like they're actively pursuing their education, right? As opposed to a high school where like you go because they tell you have to go, and if you don't, you have to go into all these different steps of truancy and all that bullshit. So like you go because they tell you to show up. You're not necessarily always there to learn, and teachers aren't always necessarily there to teach you.
Oh, definitely, 100%. And his science teacher, or debate squad
Martin
leader.
Starr.
Yes, he seemed pretty supportive. Seems like a good guy.
Yeah, it felt like the teachers wanted to be there as much as the kids did. Like they were there because they knew their kids were there to learn. They wanted to help them learn in any way that they could. That's a great pick. I didn't even qualify Homecoming for best high school. I tried to fit in other places. I didn't even think about it for best high school.
Dang. Yeah, it was just the first one that came to mind.
I think maybe because the movie focuses like it does a good job of focusing on high school, on the school when it needs to, but it focuses a lot outside of the school too, because they take the trip to Washington D.C. Like even at Homecoming, he leaves right away and he gets in the fight in the parking lot. So like I think a lot of the high school scenes get cut short sometimes. I would have liked to see more in the high school.
Well, I felt like they were there to move the plot forward. Pretty much every time it was time, they went back to the high school or back to the group of friends or back to MJ.
But they definitely captured that feeling of being in high school. He's got his group of friends. He's got, the hot girl that he wants to to go after, and
It's out
like
of
he
his
just
league.
keeps, yeah, she's out of his league, and he keeps kind of messing up around her. They hit all of the beats of a high school movie perfectly. Great,
The
great pick.
super intimidating dad when you take a girl to the dance.
Yeah, literal supervillain
Yeah,
dad. Yeah.
yeah, that's what it felt like back in the day. It's like, oh, let me drive you, young man.
I'm
Okay.
gonna go along the same path here, but one up your school just a little bit. I'm gonna go with Sky High.
Oh, oh,
So this is the
you
only
bastard.
movie that I will mention that I did not recently rewatch. I wanted to, and like I just because I thought of it like last minute, and I was like, oh, I need to rewatch it, and I just didn't have the time in the last couple days. It's a school for superheroes, and if I'm attending that school, that means I have a superpower, and that's the end of it. Like there's no other argument. I'm sorry. Like Midtown Science Tech School, great. Fucking superpower school, better.
But the main character doesn't have superpowers when he goes there originally.
But he has the latent powers. They know it's like Hogwarts. They know it's there. Neville got his letter anyways, even though his family thought he was a squib, just because his magic hadn't manifested yet. They know. They know. I haven't seen this movie in like 12 years. I don't actually know how it works getting
You made a
recruited.
compelling argument. I was
Yeah.
on the edge of my seat, Calvin. I was like,
I know.
damn.
I know his parents. Like his dad is like the Superman of the world, and
His
like
dad
his
is Kurt
mom.
Russell, man. That is
Well, I did know
that'd
that,
be
but
fucking
like,
amazing.
but in this world, he's like the Superman equivalent, right?
Yeah, and rich as shit and
Yeah,
hella
exactly.
famous.
I'm
Yeah,
not happy, however, with how they treat sidekicks here. Like,
it
it's
is not
pretty
tight.
fucked up.
I will
Every
be
hero
mentioning this
needs
movie later.
a sidekick, and these kids, they still have some pretty great powers. Even though they're not, fucking laser vision, they got some good stuff going on.
They do.
Give Sidekicks should be created equally. Sidekick lives matter.
Don't know if this is the time, Calvin.
All right.
But maybe next year. We'll take that on. We'll take on that one.
That's all I've got for Sky High. Like I said, I don't really remember the details of this movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I just know if I'm going to a high school, I'm picking the one where everybody's got superpowers.
I do like that pick, but I'm gonna mention it in a different capacity later on. But I remember being hyped as shit as a young kid for that movie, and it's like, okay, that looks all right. And seeing it, I think it was advertised on Disney Channel a bunch when it was coming out, coming off the theater run. And when
Did
I
it have a
finally,
theater run? I thought it was a Disney Channel original.
I'm almost positive it had a
I gotta
theater
look
run.
it up now.
But
Keep going
anyway,
with what you're saying.
I just remember being kind of pumped to see that, and then when I saw it, it was just like, man, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah, it had a box office return, so
I was gonna say
definitely had a theater run.
I remember seeing it, I just don't remember where. If that makes any sense.
Oh, Mary Elizabeth Winstead was in it. Look at that.
That makes all the difference.
Hey, she's pretty great. I did have an honorable mention here, and that's 10 Things I Hate About You. They've just got this. I know you haven't seen it. You should watch it. Absolutely. They've got this huge, sprawling, open concept school that it's a real school in Tacoma or in the Tacoma, Washington area. It just feels like you can get away with do a lot of shit, almost anything, and like nobody gives a shit. They've got the smart-ass teachers go in. The principal is he gives a or she gives a shit, but not fully.
Bunch of hipsters.
Yeah.
Hippies.
And here's the best thing. At prom, Letters to Cleo plays. That's the band that plays at their prom. Now, do you know anything about Letters to Cleo?
I don't.
So, do you know in Parks and Rec, when Ben is going through his first depression and he's wearing that t-shirt, the white t-shirt with like the thing, it's got like it's a band t-shirt and there's a girl on it. That is a Letters to Cleo shirt. And then at, I believe it's the Harvest Festival, but it might be Little Sebastian's funeral. Letters to Cleo is there playing, and that's the one like Ben is freaking out over. Do you remember all of that?
Oh yeah, that's with the female singer.
Yes, with the female singer.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So I know nothing about Letters to Cleo outside of 10 Things I Hate About You and Ben Wyatt liking them in Parks and Rec. But I had never heard of them outside of the context of 10 Things I Hate About You before I saw like Ben wearing the shirt and then them performing on Parks and Rec. And I was like, oh shit, that's the 10 Things I Hate About You band. And so I just needed to throw it in here somewhere so I could bring this out. And I love 10 Things I Hate About You. I'm gonna fight anyone over this opinion, but it's a perfect movie. Absolutely perfect movie.
Oh, perfect movie, huh?
Yes.
Like 1990 Ninja Turtle perfect movie type perfect, or
no, like an actual perfect movie.
Whoa, you fucking hold up, buddy.
It's got young Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Heath Ledger in his first American role, Julia Stiles is in there, Letters to Cleo playing at prom.
Now, was Heath Ledger supposed to have an American accent?
No, he didn't have an American accent. It was just his first American film role. He kept his Australian accent.
I know he kept the accent, but I was curious if he was supposed to actually be playing an American, and it just didn't work out for him.
He was playing an American, but they explain it. She asked him to like straight out, "What's up with your accent?" And he says like he spent time with his grandmother in Australia or something, and the accent stuck. Something like that.
Huh. Okay.
Or like he was born there and lived there till he was 10, and then the accent stuck. There was something. Anyway, 10 Things I Hate About You is great.
There we go.
Gabrielle Union's in there.
Yeah, it's great. Styles.
All right, next category. Do you have any honorable mentions for best school?
I don't, because I was infatuated with Spider-Man. It was just the fact that it was clean. I was just like, man, I would love to go there.
No, I'm with you, except you don't have superpowers just by the essence of going there. So Sky High is actually better.
That's fair, but I don't have to take a flying bus up to a fucking floating island, and I don't have to worry about that shit.
I didn't remember any of this stuff, but as you're saying it, like it's coming flooding back, and
that would be terrifying.
Badass to take a flying bus.
Dude, no.
Not if you have superpowers and the bus driver has superpowers and Kurt Russell's there to save you if anything goes wrong. What is his
superpower? Flying a fucking bus? Like, no.
No, he's got some superpower, I'm sure.
It's probably, I don't know, producing Snickers from his titties.
Nah, he's like the Aquaman of the Sky High world. So that way, if it crashes, he calls his fish friends up to save you as you're crashing into the water.
He says, let me land on you, bro.
Yeah.
Where's my whale? If it's on, land, he calls the birds. So he's a fish bird guy.
Fish bird guy. Yeah, that's his superpower. That's a superhero name. Fish bird guy.
I figured it was just control. I digress. Fuck. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that.
Let's move on to the best friends. We've got a Twitter poll for this one. Who are the best friends in a teen movie? That's at APA something. The options were Superbad, Seth and Evan. The Mean Girls, The Plastics. Ferris Bueller, Ferris and Cameron. And other, leave it in the comments. We only got 16 votes. Not a lot of people cared about teen movies today. I think the biggest problem was that I put it up at like 7:30, so by the time people were actually looking at it, it was stale. So like usually I do it later and we get better traction. We got no comments, but I can say Ferris Bueller, Ferris and Cameron won with 56.3% of the vote. Seth and Evan from Superbad came in second with 37.5% of the vote. And Mean Girls, The Plastics, getting one vote for 6.3%. Like, shout out to whoever voted Mean Girls, but you are absolutely wrong. I'm sorry. Like, The Plastics are terrible friends. And everyone knows.
Shots fired.
No, like, that's the point of the movie, is that they're all terrible friends.
Okay.
You've got to watch more of these girl high school movies, Nick.
You idiot. Watch it. Yeah.
First Jello, then your cat.
That's the strike 3.
Whew. No, you're at 2.5.
All right, cool. Thank God.
But I get to go first here, and if you tell me that you haven't seen this movie, that is strike 3 through 12. You're just out for the rest of the game here. And the best friends I chose were from Back to the Future, Calvin Klein, and George McFly.
Bro, I've never seen Back to the Future.
You've never seen Back to the Future?
No. I've seen like
God.
10 minutes of it. Never seen it.
Alright, so we're going to pause. We'll be back in 2 hours. Nick's going to go watch Back to the Future. Oh my God. Like, that's your homework. Before next week, you have to watch Back to the Future. I don't even care what else is going on in your life. Watch Back to the Future.
Dude, when I was younger, my dad, it was like, you can watch Dragon Ball Z or this war movie. What do you want to watch, buddy?
I don't care, but but you're almost 30 now, Nick. You have to watch Back to the Future. I don't care about any of these other things that you haven't seen. I'm letting Mean Girls slide. I'm letting 10 Things I Hate About You slide. I know you still haven't watched Pitch Perfect. I'm letting it slide. You have to watch Back to the Future.
Yes, sir. I will watch this movie when my daughter's 3 and I can get 5 minutes to myself.
No, I'd watch it with her. She'll love it. The flying car,
right, dude.
It's great.
She'll throw herself all over the floor, roll around repeatedly.
On another completely unrelated note, I'll be looking for a new co-host soon. Because if Nick doesn't watch Back to the Future soon, like, this just can't go on this way. I'm sorry.
We'll have to go back to the future.
Yes,
and,
I'll have to go back to the past, find a new co-host, and then come back to the future now, where we'll be recording, and you'll have been replaced by someone
who has seen Back to the Future.
Who has seen back, at the very least, seen Back to the Future. Yes.
Okay. All right.
That's the only qualification.
So what happens to me? Do I just like evaporate?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I don't think you personally evaporate because you exist beyond this podcast, right? See, Marty McFly didn't exist beyond his parents, but you exist beyond this podcast. So, but I think slowly your voice would just be replaced throughout like there'd be a ripple effect throughout the past episodes, and your voice would just be slowly replaced, and your voice would fade out, and the new voice would fade in. It would have been like
high-pitched one.
Maybe. I don't care as long as they've seen Back to the Future. Anyway, so let me go into the friendship here. Marty McFly, as Calvin Klein, that's the name he took in the past. He did everything he could to get his main man, George McFly, laid. And there's nothing more that a friend can do for another friend other than help him get laid.
That's a biggie in high school, man. That is like
exactly
the number one thing.
Not to mention,
keep him out of trouble, but getting him laid.
Yeah, that's way more important than keeping out of trouble. A lot of times you have to get into trouble in order to get there. So, anyway, Calvin/Marty's entire life depends on being a great friend to George, and he's even given several opportunities to snake George's girl from him, and he couldn't do it.
Also, it's his mom, isn't it?
Yeah, it's his mom. So,
well,
that was standing in his way,
Calvin.
but he had the chance. Easier. He could have done it if he wanted.
That makes it so much easier. It's like, yeah, hi, Mom. I mean, whatever her name is. That'd be fucking weird.
So, not only did he try to get George laid, but he also just made him a better man and helped him build up his confidence.
There you go.
He's forever one of the greatest hype men in movie history. He's just back there at George, telling him to kick Biff's ass, telling him to hook up with, I don't remember her name, Marlene, maybe? Whatever his mom's name is. Somebody will yell at me on Twitter that I'm giving you shit for not seeing Back to the Future, but I can't even remember the mom's name.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
I mean, Marlene McFly sounds pretty McFly-ish, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't think you can get a better friend than literally going back in time, befriending your own father, helping him hook up with your mom, which, like, nobody wants to see that happen. Nobody wants to be a part of when their mom and dad first hooked up. But he's there for it. He rides for it. His life depends on it, but he rides for it anyway. So,
I mean, yeah, that's, that is a deciding factor if your life depends on it. And you definitely don't. What if he slept with his mom and then she gave birth to himself? Would he be mutated? That's the first thought that would go through my head.
I mean, that's kind of what happened in Terminator, right? I guess not. He sent back a different guy.
Just like,
John Connor sends back Kyle Reese to bone his mom so John Connor can be born. It's the same thing as Back to the Future, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot less death and robots and stuff like that.
Are you sure about that? You've never seen it. How do you know?
I think I would have heard about it by now.
Well,
I know the self-tying shoes and fly, skateboard, hoverboards, whatever you want to call them.
So that's part 2. You gotta watch part 1 first, then part 2. You can skip part 3.
All right.
Part 3 is useless.
I remember him playing guitar and a big scary building. And that's about it.
The clock tower, yeah. All right, Nick, so who are your best friends now that we know it's not George and Marty McFly?
I couldn't believe you didn't pick these guys. Seth Fogel and Evan from Superbad.
Yeah, they're the best of friends. They're my honorable mention.
That anybody could have.
Did any of them try to get their dad to hook up with their mom?
No, but I'm pretty sure they all tried to get each other laid for the most part.
That's true.
And got each other booze, that's a big one. And they fucking went on straight up adventures for each other, and then they told each other they loved each other, Calvin.
And they get
That's
a little
best
boop,
friends, bro.
boop.
Right? I
Yeah,
love you. I just want to stand on the rooftops and say it. I love my best friend, Evan.
they're just great all around friends. Especially Seth and Evan. Fogel's like there, but he's like the third wheel of the Seth and Evan relationship.
I think he's got to be there for Seth to take his aggression out on somebody. Because that dude is just one pissed off little man.
Well, he's
He
also
gets
got to
spit
be
on.
there. Yeah, no,
I mean, that would piss me off.
absolutely. He's also got to be there for as Evan's outlet, right? Because Seth is such an asshole, just in general, that like Evan needs somebody to like blow off steam to, and Fogel can be that for him.
Right. Yeah, it's like a fucking weird abusive relationship. It's
Wait, why are
odd.
we calling him Fogel? His name's McLovin.
Yeah, I mean, I should have caught that earlier. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, listeners. I should have caught that. Here I am proclaiming my love for these best friends. And seriously, though, they go. I think that makes, that helps make really good friendships is going on dope ass adventures. Like some of my best friends that I ever had, I had super awesome adventures that often featured very similar things to this.
Yeah. No, I mean
I didn't hang out with a bunch of
that's
cops, though.
that's how you build those strong friendships. Is you do shit.
You do
You
shit?
go places. You experience life. And if you're not doing that, well, then you're just two guys that know each other.
That was very good.
Yeah.
Where is that from?
I just words popped into my brain. You heard it here first. Podcast about something
Write
original.
that shit down,
quote.
Calvin. You can sell that right now. I bet you. Bet.
Put it on a shirt. I don't even remember what I said now.
That's what friends do. I don't remember either. But I gave you the idea. I want half.
You'll get half of every shirt we sell.
Oh, cool. Tight.
Nobody buys our shirts. Check out our tpublic.com store, tpublic.com/APA something, for some cool shirts and other things. I had a double honorable mention for this. My second one was the Power Rangers. In Power Rangers, I guess Mighty Morphin Power Rangers would fit too, but those dudes were all like 40 by the time that movie came out, so I couldn't. And nothing actually happened at high school in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But Power Rangers, it did happen in high school, and they had to become these great friends because they didn't know each other to help defeat Rita and Goldar. Like, if they didn't become great friends, they would have never been able to do that.
I was going to say, didn't they bully one of them off the show into nearly committing suicide?
In the TV show.
But in
I'm
the
talking
show,
about the
they're tight.
2017 Power Rangers movie.
Oh, that movie was not good.
I enjoyed it.
I,
You don't get to have an opinion. You haven't even seen Back to the Future. We're moving on.
I've seen Power Rangers, Calvin. Both
That's
of them.
true.
I guess that's got to count for
Both of
something.
them. Have you seen Turbo, a Power Rangers movie?
Yeah, I watched it for the podcast.
Oh, yeah. All right,
for our
let's move on.
3 hour and 20-minute podcast.
Let's move on before we get too deep into the Power Rangers and go with best parents. Who you got, Nick?
I got Jim's parents from American Pie.
I thought somebody would go there.
It's
only me and you, so it would have had to been you.
It's towards the end of high school, so it's on the periphery.
Oh, it's definitely a high school movie.
Yeah, but I mean, Jim's parents are really kind of dope. Their son is obviously the weirdest, most awkward person that's probably ever walked this planet. He fucked a pie, and
they're just like, yeah, we'll tell your mom we ate it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That just sounds so fucking gross. But yeah, they're great. They're all supportive. His friends are fucking idiots, but, he's still like, yeah, you can hang out with them. Don't worry about it. And they just seem like sweetheart parents who can't take a hint, but are really just socially awkward.
Well-intentioned, yeah.
Right. So that makes pretty good parents. And there are actually 2 parents there. So that's something. That counts for something.
Yeah, no, I'm going right with you of the supportive parents, because that's what's important in one of these high school movies. That's how you win our next award, is if you have those supportive parents, then you can become the most likely to succeed. I went with Easy A, Stanley Tucci, and Patricia Clarkson. I'm sure you haven't seen this either if you haven't even seen Back to the Future.
My
really
wife
good.
says
Emma
it's
Stone.
very good.
It's very good. You should watch it. But this is for real #parent goals here. They are fun. They're family oriented. they're not like super laissez-faire about their responsibility as parents, where they just like do whatever the fuck you want. But like they do kind of give their kids enough rope to hang themselves with. That old saying.
Right.
And rein it in when they need to. They do a weekly family movie night, where the family member of the week gets to choose the movie, and the mom is the. I'm not gonna ruin that joke for you because you should go watch it. But we've started the family movie. We do every Friday or Saturday, usually Saturdays now. Do a weekly movie night. We just rotate between the four of us who gets to pick. So much fun, and I'm really excited for when I can start watching like more in-depth movies, because right now they're all cartoon movies,
Right.
Disney movies, things like that. But another year or two, we'll be able to get into like Jurassic Parks, ETs, things like that, and that'll be a lot of fun.
I mean,
Jaws, maybe in a year or two.
Yeah. Chucky.
Chucky. Who knows? Yeah, just I'll tell them it's about a lovable doll.
See, I was that age when I saw that movie, and it did not do me well.
Labyrinth. That'll scar them for life.
Yeah, they played that shit on Disney Channel back in the day.
I don't think I've still ever seen it. It's weird.
Yeah, not a fan.
So they're also like very jokey but compassionate at the same time. So you can tell there's like a lot of mutual and love and respect behind all of their teasing, because they tease each other constantly. So Emma Stone's like 16, 17 years old in the movie, and then she has a 10 to 12-year-old brother who's adopted. And this is one of the best jokes that I am going to ruin for you. She has a black adopted brother, and at one point he asks about like when or how he was adopted, or like brings it up somehow that he's adopted, and the dad, without missing a beat, just like pretends to freak out like the dad didn't know that the kid was adopted. And it's just like one of the most endearing scenes. He's like, "What? You're adopted?" And it's like, they're all white and he's this black kid and he's 12, like he knows better. And like it's just really funny how it's played off. Stanley Tucci just like goes, "You're adopted? Who told you?"
I can see Stanley Tucci pulling it off.
Yeah, it's perfect. They're one of the most perfect parent couples in a movie.
That's saying something, because honestly, I'm not a fan of Stanley Tucci. I
What?
hate his face. Not a fan.
That's what are we on? Strike 13 now?
No, we're like in the 40s now.
Well, no,
I
because
got like 35.
Back to the
for
Future
Back to the
was
Future.
3 through 12.
I thought that was more. I thought you were. Never mind. Let's go to the tape, John Madden boys.
They're like okay with Emma Stone getting into like little bits of trouble. She called another girl a twat in class and got sent to the principal's office, but the girl was being a twat. So like they're like, yeah, okay, don't do that. But also not like you're grounded for 3 weeks for calling someone a twat.
Right.
I'm okay with
nice
that.
vocabulary. I appreciate that.
But they
Way to
also
be subtle.
know like when she's getting in real actual trouble, she knows like they know when to step up and intervene. And she's like starts getting a bad reputation around school, so they know like when to place themselves into that situation and start asking the right question. They don't just yell at her or ground her or anything like that. They approach it with compassion and care, try to talk to her about what's going on and why it's happening. And I think like as a parent, that's what's important. And like that's what I try to do and my wife tries to do. And I hope like as our kids grow, we can continue to do that with them and don't like just fall back on, no, you did something wrong, you're a piece of shit, I'm gonna yell at you now. Like that, I don't like that. That's stupid.
I agree, 100%, man. Those are sweet ass parents.
You should watch the movie if for nothing else than the parents.
I'm there for it. I would like to find a role Stanley Tucci's in that I like him and I don't want to fucking scream. Hunger Games? Isn't that Stanley Tucci?
Hunger Games is rough, yeah.
Okay,
that's a rough look for my man
just
Tucci.
Just wanted to double check.
I like Stanley Tucci.
That's fair. I mean, some people like Renee Zellweger. I don't.
I like one Renee Zellweger performance, and it's Me, Myself, and Irene. And I don't really even like her. She's fine, but like that movie's just funny.
I like two. So I like that and Cold Mountain.
I never saw Cold Mountain.
What? You never saw a 3-hour Civil War movie?
No, I didn't.
Strike one.
No, back to the strike one. So Nick will be looking to replace me next week. But he can't do it by going back to the future. He just has to have a long, boring love relationship along the lines of the Civil War. I think that's what happens in Cold Mountain. I don't know.
Oh, and then the dude gets killed at the end by his love interest.
The Patriot's better. Just watch The Patriot.
Oh, it's so much better. Fucking
All right,
love that
so
movie.
most likely to succeed beyond the movie. and this was just for main characters only. I went with my main man Ferris Bueller. I'm sure you haven't seen this movie either. From Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Definitely have not seen Ferris Bueller.
That's another one you gotta watch. I'm not gonna give you a strike for this because, again, almost 40 years old. I could see how it would slide under your radar. But this is one you should go back and watch.
I can't. I fucking hate Matthew Broderick too.
He's so good in this. It's so perfect.
He was good in Cable Guy, but dude, my first like real interaction with him was Inspector Gadget. Was one, and Godzilla.
So see, I like bad movies, and I liked him in both those movies. So then, as I grew older, I would watch things like Cable Guy and Ferris Bueller and be like, I still like him in these, where he's actually doing good work. So it evens out for me. Ferris Bueller's really good.
I'll have to check it out.
You should. But Back to the Future first, then Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
It's like 10 hours of shit to watch.
I don't make the rules. You just broke these unwritten rules, so it's not my fault.
You have several strikes. You need to work that shit off, bitch.
You got to get down to 7 strikes by next week.
Okay. All right.
So Ferris, he could literally get away with anything on just his own gumption and suaveness. He's a great friend, as he was mentioned in our Twitter poll, and he helps the people he cares about. But most importantly for this is he knows how to talk to people and get what he wants. He's going to at some point in his life make a great salesman or like Wall Street guy. He'll also probably be like some douchey pickup artist in his 20s, but he'll definitely make it out in life. Like, he'll be fine.
Sounds a little manipulative.
Oh, absolutely. But he will succeed in life. Like, that's the goal of this category, is to succeed, and he will be manipulative to a fault, and he will be a successful person.
That's fair. I mean, I tend to agree with that. I thought it was all like a figment of his imagination, and he might be dead or some shit.
Yeah, there's a fan theory about that.
Yeah,
that it's a figment of his friend's imagination, and but that's been mostly debunked.
That's it.
Yeah.
Mostly? So you're saying there's a chance?
Absolutely. So let me just run down his accolades real quick of what he does in his day, of how smooth he is. He gets himself extra excused absences by hacking into the school's database in the 80s from his home, hacks into the school somehow, and like subtracts days from his excused absences, so he gets a few extras. He talks his best friend out of being actually sick and into spending the day with him. Talks his girlfriend out of school using the old grandma's funeral scheme, then also gets Cameron to cover for him when the principal is on to him. So like they call from 2 separate phones, and the principal thinks it's Ferris, but then Ferris calls in on the separate phone, so like they cover each other's tracks. He convinces Cameron to steal his dad's Ferrari. Talks himself into a nice fancy restaurant in Chicago on someone else's reservation. He worked his way onto a parade float to do a big song and dance number. He quote-unquote saved Cameron from drowning. There's debate over whether Cameron was actually drowning there. Beat his parents' home in a foot race versus a car to continue pretending to be sick, and no one was the wiser all day. So he did all this shit all throughout the day. He did more things, but none of them else really relied on his smoothness. Like they went to a Cubs game, but he didn't have to be smooth to do that. All of this he did while his entire school is raising money for him because they think he's like on his deathbed.
Oh, dude, what a piece of shit.
He didn't ask them to do that. They just did that because they like him so much. They did it on their own.
He's that suave. Dude, you got to be suave to convince a chick back then, I believe it's in the 80s when the Cubs were still shit, to go to a Cubs game and be like, yeah, it's going to be really boring. They're probably going to lose, but
they packed a lot into their day. Like they did a lot of things. And there's widely contested debates on the internet of if they could have actually accomplished all the things that they did in one day.
That's a
and gotten
weird
home
thing
before like 6.
Weird thing to do.
I mean, if you watch the movie, you would understand. They do a lot of things.
That's why it's a movie.
What do you got for most likely to succeed?
This one is cheating, and I'm gonna cheat like a son of a bitch. And it's Schmidt and Jenko from 21 Jump Street. Because, I mean, they are undercover, they have stable jobs, And, that's like 75% of the struggle out of high school. You're already fucking done. They're
Well,
good.
look,
They got a 401k already, bro. It's probably got several thousand dollars.
they got a pension coming. They got
Yeah.
that good police pension. I'm not going to fault you for this because I didn't do it in the superlatives, but in the sucklatives, I cheated the shit out of all.
Oh, dude, I had to cheat on some of them. Kind of, sort of, not really. But this was an easy one for me because, that's cheating.
They've already succeeded, yeah.
They already have
done.
great jobs. They're detectives. That is fantastic. You got to do a lot of work to be a detective. And
Yeah.
they're, they go to college after this too, so there's that.
Exactly, they're still successful.
On the government's dime. They're not paying for anything.
Mm-hmm.
They
get to work with Ice Cube.
On...
We already talked about his accolades last week.
I mean, seriously, check out our Rap Beefs episode. It was fucking dope. And, yeah. So, I mean, there you go. I don't really gotta say too much else besides that.
That's a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there for it, bro.
So I had an honorable mention here, and this is Charlie Bartlett from the movie Charlie Bartlett. This is a very under the radar movie, but it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I have, but it's been so long. I do
Anton
not remember.
Yelchin,
Yes.
Pat Dennings, Robert Downey Jr. This is like Robert Downey in his I was just fucking Iron Man, so I can do any movie I want. So this is one that he did, and it is so good, but super under the radar. I don't know that I've talked to more than like 3 people who have ever seen it. And he's another guy, very Ferris Bueller like. He's not particularly great at anything, but he's extremely smooth talking, and he more or less turns himself into the king of the school in a matter of weeks. He was selling the other kids prescription drugs.
He's a pharmacist.
Yeah, but that's not neither here nor there what he was doing.
Oh, okay.
He was a new kid in school, and boom, all of a sudden he's the most popular kid in school.
By selling drugs.
Yeah. Well, but he was also giving them like real, not psychological evaluations, but like psychological help. He was being a therapist for them and giving them drugs. And I think it was both working together.
He was being more helpful than their parents or anyone else was in their life.
Yeah, or the administration of the school. And that's what got on Robert Downey's nerves is, that this kid thinks he can do whatever the hell he wants. And like he was one of those teenagers that was basically an adult already. And that's why it was so easy for him to rise up the ranks of the school hierarchy, despite not being popular to begin with. Because like he knows, he could understand how kids work because he had already matured past that stage in his life. Like, He didn't want to be in high school anymore, so he did what he could to be the best at high school.
Exactly.
Great.
Selling drugs.
Yeah. That's the easy way to rise in the ranks of high school. Sell drugs, kids.
Seriously, I saw kids go from
I thought you'd be like, seriously, I sold shit ton of drugs.
No, I didn't sell shit. I didn't want to get in fucking trouble. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't like, yeah, let me sell. I had a job. I had a fucking job. But I remember a lot of kids that were in total obscurity. People really didn't like them, and they started selling like weed or something. Most popular kids in school for a while, and then they'd get busted, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Cyclical.
All right, final category, and probably most important, the homecoming king and queen. Who you got, Nick?
I got Julia Stiles and Heath Ledger from whatever that meant. 10 Things I Hate About You.
You can't pick a movie you've never seen, Nick.
I've seen 3/4 of it. That
all right.
Counts at least.
You lose half a strike for that too. You're down to 12 and a half.
I tried watching the majority of this in short bursts. It's been on.
So good.
I enjoy Heath Ledger. I never saw the portion obviously where he explains his accent. I was very curious about that.
It's after. Did you see the paintball festivities where they like go to that paintball place and they get paint all over themselves?
Right, after they're paddling.
Yeah, they do the paddle boat. They go to paint.
Then they get that sweet kiss.
Yes, then they have a discussion like right after that, and she asks him about it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there was a portion I walked through. It was when she flashed her teacher. It was just like, wow, that seems extremely fucked up. I can't believe that just happened.
This was a movie that was on TV a lot. Like I remember it being on TV all the time in college, and it was one of the movies that I had seen most of in passing, like on TNT or whatever, and then eventually I watched the whole thing, and I was like, damn, I should have watched this whole thing a long time ago.
Fucking TNT. But yeah, that's my pick. The best couple. I mean, he was paid to basically try to take her off some other dude's hands. And their whole love story in the end is pretty sweet. They acted the shit out of that movie.
Yeah,
And
they're
they
very
just
good.
they really fucking sold it.
So I was listening to a podcast. It's called The Connect, from the Ringer Podcast Network. Shea Serrano, Jason Concepcion. If any listeners know who those people will know, they probably already listened to it. But they did an episode on 10 Things I Hate About You a couple of weeks ago, and one of them posited that Heath Ledger in 10 Things I Hate About You is the actual origin of the Dark Knight Joker. Go listen to that. I can't do the theory justice. So go listen to that episode of The Connect and listen. He does a good job of pointing it out.
Reach, man.
They have the mysterious backgrounds, all that stuff going on for him. But I agree that in the movie their relationship is good, and I might get some shit for this, but like, if some dude wants to give me $200 to go out with a pretty girl, I'm there for it.
100%.
How is that scummy? What if I wanted to date her anyways? Yeah.
Right.
Like, maybe I wanted to date her anyways because she's fucking hot and cool and nice. Now somebody's gonna also pay me for doing that? Like, come on. That just gives us better dates.
She just flashes people, bro. I'm there for it. You're gonna pay me $200 to get flashed? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I get how she's betrayed a little bit, but at the same time, like, I think you're mad for like an hour at that, and then you're like,
right.
Wait, so this dude gave you $200. Why aren't we out spending that $200? Like, what are we gonna do with it? Let's go. And also, let's find a way to lead him on further and keep paying you. That's where I would be with it, but I'm not a 17-year-old girl, so what do I know?
Calvin's out here talking about extortion and shit.
Absolutely. If pretty boy hand model boy wants to pay you to take me out, let's get it.
That'd be shit.
Get that paper.
Let's get a nice seafood dinner and never call him again.
I also don't think that this relationship is going to be a relationship that lasts.
No, I think they need that. They need too much excitement.
Yeah, it's going to be a very toxic relationship very quickly.
Yeah, I don't think the monotony of life.
He can't go out on the steps of the stadium and sing to her every time he fucks up.
Yeah, he really set the bar super high. Idiot. I'm just gonna say that.
You gotta aim lower. But maybe that was the first scene in the movie that I ever saw. That was one of those times, like in high school or college, I saw it like in passing, and that was the first scene that I ever saw of this movie, and I was like, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, I mean, that is obviously romanticized. It'd be pretty cool to do that, but I'm not gonna do something like that.
And then Letters to Cleo shows up, so boom.
Boom.
Ben Wyatt is forever happy.
Fucking love Ben Wyatt.
Exactly. I went a different way here, but I went back on a way that you picked out earlier. The Amazing Spider-Man, Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy.
Were they dating in that movie?
Yeah, they dated for a little bit. Then her dad died, and it kind of went out. I'll get into that. This was a hard category to pick, all right? There are so many bad relationships in high school movies. They're all very, very bad. I had a lot of honorable mentions for the Superlative here. Let me just go out and say that. And I agree with you. I think Homecoming is the more apt high school / teen movie than Amazing Spider-Man, but I think Amazing Spider-Man still qualified. Peter's definitely full of teen angst. He's got to deal with many of the pitfalls of being in high school while also having to learn to be Spider-Man. And I just think there's no better couple in fictional history than Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy is greater than Mary Jane. Don't at me.
I mean, she's dead, though.
Well, yeah, other than that. But she wasn't dead in The Amazing Spider-Man, and that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely got the teen angst going on. He can dunk, for one.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Skateboards.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
He's a bad boy.
I just think Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, if you haven't gotten it from this podcast, I really, really like Emma Stone. Yeah. They're perfect together. They embody what this couple was all about. Just like in the fictional history of Peter and Gwen, they fit it perfect.
Definitely.
And I think that meant a lot to comics fan that for all of the flaws of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, that was right. That relationship was perfect.
When it first came out, I was a big comic book head. When it first came out, I legit said it might have been a better representation than the Sam Raimi trilogy.
Well, yeah, because Gwen Stacy had like half a scene in that.
Yeah, I just thought it was truer to Spider-Man that I was familiar
Yes.
with. The
It,
long, lanky,
right.
agile
I
type
really
dude.
like the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I mean, the second one went off the rails in a lot of places.
It was not good.
I enjoyed it. It was enjoyable. I'm
I'm
not
not
saying it's
saying it wasn't
good, but it's
enjoyable.
enjoyable. And
Right.
that's what I'm looking for in a movie. I don't care if it's good, it's enjoyable. Um, they as you alluded to, they end the movie not as a couple, but I'm just going to blow past that. They don't ever fight, which is great. They're okay with letting each other in on all of their secrets, and being Spider-Man is a huge fucking secret. They get the great family dinner scene over at the Stacy's house. That's like always a great scene in any teen movie, is like when the boyfriend or the girlfriend meets the rest of the family, whoever the main character is, like their family, and then the boyfriend and the girlfriend comes in for like this weird awkward dinner or whatever. Great
Yes,
scene
always
here.
got to be awkward.
You got the Branzino conversation mixed with the Spider-Man conversation. It's all played so well. Dennis Leary does a great job. They went through a lot of shit together, and they really need each other, and that's why they were back together in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, is because you can't go through that shit together and not be together.
That's true.
You need each other.
Yeah, gotta have that support. Plus, he's Spider-Man. That's
Yeah,
kind of fucking sweet.
it's a hot bod right there.
Yeah, he
Uh,
skateboards.
and dunks.
Yeah, he fucking break. He's like Shaq
Does
in
Shaq
more ways
skateboard?
than one. I know, but he did before, yeah, and he dunks and breaks rims.
I agree with that. Uh, my honorable mention here was Matthew and Danielle from The Girl Next Door.
Oh, good pick.
That movie doesn't do a lot of things well. Maybe you could say best high school, because they let porn stars come to their prom. But
Right.
I think like that's another couple that they're gonna be okay at the end of the day. They went through a lot of shit together, and I think it would be hard for them to find love with anyone other than each other in the future because of the shit that they went through together.
Right.
Like that dude is never going to be able to have a different girlfriend.
No, he'll get hung up.
And I
Most
think
likely.
and I think Danielle found her perfect like outside of the porn world boyfriend.
Everybody's gonna have that,
Yeah. All right. So we gave out 5 awards. We gave out the best high school, the best friends, the best parents, the most likely to succeed, and Homecoming King and Queen. Let's talk about some categories we missed. I've got a lot on these too. The best quirky side character. Always a good quirky side character, right? In any teen movie.
100%.
You got any thoughts on that?
Yes, I do. Mostly, first and foremost, it's Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, that's a good one.
He
I
is
didn't even think of Napoleon Dynamite.
Dude, he's got a sweet bike. He takes that shit off sweet jumps. He's voting class president. Pedro's just a straight up Dorcas. He's got the most, he's got a really weird, like, demeanor and stuff like that, but he seems alright. He's very quirky.
And look, you could have qualified almost anyone from Napoleon Dynamite as the best quirky side character, because the quirky side character didn't necessarily have to go to high school. Like Uncle Rico could be that.
Yeah.
His brother could be that. Like everybody other than Napoleon, and Napoleon's quirky enough on his own. He's just the main character, so he can't qualify for side character. But yeah,
Pedro's,
I'm with it.
it's his right hand man, and he is quirky as shit.
That's good. I was thinking American Pie, Shipbreak, always going to be funny.
Yeah.
Just the nickname in of itself is hilarious. And then and everything that goes along with Finch is perfect. And I got a shout out to my man Bow Wow here. Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, Twinkie, mostly on the strength of the Hulk car. It's a great bit.
I don't remember that movie enough.
Just had to get Bow Wow in here somehow. And Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
That's at least the third or fourth episode in a fucking row. At least two.
Shout out
At
Bow
least
Wow.
two.
But Tokyo Drift, definitely a high school movie.
Yeah, played by 30 fucking 2-year-olds.
Yeah, Mike Winchell in there. So the best quest was another thought I had of like what's the main character trying to do? A lot of just like trying to get laid out there.
Yeah, there is.
And you got American Pie, Superbad. I think Superbad's quest to get laid is a little bit better than American Pie's, just because they go through a little bit more shit, and it's more entertaining at the very least.
Well, it's not just anyone and everyone. It's, specific person.
The To-Do List. Have you heard of this one?
I have not.
Another good film you should check out. It has Aubrey Plaza is the star. It has Aaliyah Shawkat, who is Maybe from Arrested Development, as one of her best friends.
Okay.
Bill Hader's in there. Donald Glover's in there. What's his name from Friday Night Lights, the show, the first quarterback that gets fucked up, Jason Street. He's in there. A lot of like really good bit parts in this movie. Really, really funny. It's another getting laid quest, but this time it's the other way around. Aubrey Plaza's the one trying to get laid. It takes place in 1993. She's on a mythical quest to do as many sexual acts as she can before college. And so she's trying to she makes a list. She's like one of these super A-type, very organized, head of the class type people. So she makes a list of everything she's going to try and do, and then proceeds to do them throughout the movie.
Righteous.
Rachel Bilson's in there, Clark Gregg, Connie Britton. Andy Samberg makes an appearance. A lot of great people in there. It revels a little bit too much in the haha, the 90s were funny and stupid.
90s
but
were a different time.
Absolutely. They are funny and stupid, but I don't think this movie even needed the 90s. It's got a great cast and a great framing device. Like, it could have been funny on its own if they just said it whenever. But putting it in the 90s is fun, too.
I'm down. I'm going to have to check that out. Now, I have a weird question. Did you remember all those names off the top of your head of those actors?
I watched it recently.
Okay, and you just, watched the credits?
Well, no. So, Jason Street is the character's name in Friday Night Lights. I don't know what the actor's name is. It's like Scott Turner or something, some really white bread ass name.
I was gonna say, dude, you just named off 10 actors.
I don't know what his real name is off the top of my head, but he's just always Jason Street from Friday Night Lights. Aubrey Plaza is obviously April from Parks and Rec.
April.
Connie Britton is the mom from Friday Night Lights, and she's been in a few other things. Clark Gregg is Agent Coulson.
Okay.
Rachel Bilson is from the OC. She's the in Jumper. You've seen Jumper, right?
I have seen Jumper.
The girlfriend, the brunette. That's Rachel Bilson.
I got a special place in my heart for that movie.
Donald Glover. He also goes by his rap name, Childish Gambino. He was in Community. He did the show called Atlanta. Really popular. Atlanta's really good. Bill Hader and Andy Samberg, obviously most famous from Saturday Night Live. But if you don't know who Bill Hader is, he's one of the cops in Superbad. He's also been in 1,000 things. Same with Andy Samberg.
Yeah, check out Barry. It's great.
Barry, I have not gotten on Barry. I've wanted to.
It's fantastic. It is fantastic. And then, Andy Samberg, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, also a fantastic show.
Yeah. So, a lot of heavy hitters as bit parts in this movie.
I'm there for it.
What do you think for a best quest?
Mine's a little more sappy, and it's finding a lovable home for her baby and finding love, and that's Juno from Juno.
Nice, that's a good one.
That is a fantastic quest to find. Obviously, you're a teenager. You probably don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're in high school, not in a good place to raise a kid.
Best thing you can do is find Jennifer Garner, though.
I mean, she is at least hot, so...
If any high school kids are out there struggling, go find Jennifer Garner. She'll help you. I guarantee it. Jason Bateman, maybe not, but Jennifer Garner, she'll be there for you.
They're both rich, so, at least the kid will have some nice shoes and stuff.
Bateman's just going to be an asshole.
I
love Jason Bateman, but he's such a good asshole that, I can't remove him from Michael Bluth ever in my head.
It's so good. If The Gift, see that movie, he's a serious asshole in that. But yeah, that is the ultimate quest. She's being a legit, decent human being if she's handling it pretty fucking well.
Plus, she already got laid, which is most of the quests for these high school movies.
Right,
so
she
didn't have to do that.
I mean, he's batting 1,000 right now. That is very good.
Yeah.
So, good for her. That's efficient. She didn't even have to worry about it, one time,
Actually,
and she's boom, done.
I actually had a couple other quests outside of the just getting laid also. D3, the Mighty Ducks, beat the varsity team, prove their worth. And also, like, if we had an award for best prank, I think D3 would have to 100% win that because they do the, have you ever seen D3?
Like 20 years ago.
So do you remember they do the prank on the varsity team? There's a huge ant farm in the middle of their high school. And they connect these hoses to the ant farm and then somehow force the ants out through the hoses and into the beds of the varsity team. And, like, that's top-notch best prank I've ever seen. Not doable ever, but, like, it's a great prank. Just the coordination that goes behind it and the actual end effect of it's perfect.
I'm there for it.
And then Coach Carter. They got to defeat poverty. Just like in Remember the Titans, they've got to defeat racism.
That is a good one.
Coach Carter, they got to defeat poverty and, win state and go to college. A lot of quests there for them.
That is a good pick, too. Fucking Meet the Titans. Meet the Titans. Remember the Titans.
Did you have any categories we missed?
Categories we missed. We got the best soundtrack.
Yep.
Which...
It's American Pie, and it's not even close.
Dude, Mac and Devin go to high school?
It's American Pie, and it's not even close.
Bro, they got
But if it were close, it'd be Varsity Blues.
Snoop, Currency, Bruno Mars.
Currency? Come on.
Fucking Currency. That is honestly the best. There's like one half banger on that album. They had a whole album just for that. They're also like 40 going to fucking high school.
We talked about that last week also in
Right.
Best Rap Beefs.
Rap beefs. I'm telling you. That is the best thing to ever come out of a rap beef situation. Snoop's beefing with Tekashi 6ix9ine. He made a whole movie about going to high school and smoking dope and selling dope with Wiz Khalifa. I mean, that's fucking thugging.
Yeah, so the best soundtrack is American Pie, and it's not even close.
You say that, but have you seen Mac and Devin go to high school?
Yeah, and you just told me there's one banger on the whole soundtrack, while American Pie has like 12 bangers on it.
One half banger.
One half banger. Got a half chub of a banger here. What about a best party?
Best party. I am there for that too. Mine's a bit of a stretch. And it also is in the running for best cameo of all fucking time. And that is at the tail end of high school before they leave on their Euro trip when Scotty gets blasted about being cheated on by Fiona.
Scotty doesn't know that Fiona and me do it in my van every Sunday.
And that's Matt Damon. Am I wrong?
It is Matt Damon in the movie. He is not singing. I learned this recently. He's not singing. He's not actually part of the band. The band is named Lustra. He's not part of the band or anything. I don't know why he did that cameo, but it's fantastic.
It is one of the best cameos of all time.
Yeah, that wins. I had American Pie again, and like I think I moved all these categories because American Pie would have won them all, so I had to put them in like other categories.
Yeah, you're like, I can't fuck with this,
I can't just have American Pie win everything.
It's one of the better ones.
If we would have had a sucklative for best party though, so if we'd have had worst party, it's Scream, and it's not even close.
Yeah, that one was
People
not
are
tight.
Literally getting murdered.
Yeah, literally, and not even in a not very gruesome way. It's not like they're dying in their sleep.
A girl got caught in a garage door.
For God's sakes, in a garage door!
Go back and listen to our slasher film movie, Superlatives, for more on Scream and how dumb that girl was.
We really try to figure it out. We dive in depth.
Yeah, way depth. Any other categories we missed?
Not that I have.
Okay. So, Nick, it's an important question. Not when you were in high school, but when you were about to be in high school, did you expect your experience in high school to live up to what you had seen in movies?
Yes. I was naive as shit, dude. I think
everyone is.
Oh my God, I was so naive. I did not realize how naive I fucking was, because I went to a dramatically smaller middle school. And being popular in middle school and then coming into high school...
Super easy.
Oh, man, super easy. You literally... I don't know. You could... I'm not even gonna. Yeah, you can literally.
Here's how you get popular in middle school. If any like 12-year-olds are listening, about to be in middle school. Here's how you get to become popular. Learn to talk to girls. If you can talk to a girl, especially the pretty girls, then the pretty girls, and I'm not talking about like hit on them or anything like that, just be able to have real conversations with them. The girls will all like you. And if the girls will all like you, the guys will hang around with you because they want to talk to the girls, but they don't know how to. So they'll be studying you. They'll be asking you, like, dude, you're talking to fucking Vanessa. How are you doing that? That's all you need. If
Shout
you
out Vanessa.
genuinely know how to talk to girls and just like be interested in what they say, that's all you've got to do, and you'll be the most popular kid in school.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean,
In middle school. High school, it's a little bit more difficult because girls don't want to talk to anyone in high school.
No. Things start to matter a little more, and yeah, so I digress. I thought it would be pretty similar. Like everyone would be rooting for you for the most part,
Yeah.
and you'd have those big
Big
dances,
game every
and,
Friday night. Yeah.
You'd go on adventures all the time, and
Oh.
you don't realize that like half the time you're just sitting around playing video games, eating shitty food, trying.
Yeah, they don't
to,
show that in the movies.
Yeah, they don't show you taking tons of shits and just being that awkward phase in sports whenever you're changing in the locker rooms and shit like that. And,
unless there's a joke to be had around it, you don't see that in movies. But I will give a shout out back to like the just doing nothing playing video games. Superbad has that scene where like they're getting ready to go out and Seth is like talking all his bullshit, trying on all of Evan's clothes or whatever, and Evan's there like just playing some video game and he keeps getting his ass kicked and he's like, what? He's just sitting there like, why the fuck, if you can't beat it, why can't you even why even play the game? What the fuck is going on? Why have a little? And it's like that. Yes, that's what playing video games in high school is like, and in adulthood also.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's just beside himself that the game is too difficult for him. I love it.
And he's not even baked. It's ridiculous.
I probably like 63% expected it to be like movies.
I just thought chicks would be throwing themselves at me.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
So I never once went to a party in high school that was like the ones in movies. We had a prom party that was probably the closest to it. But I also like I didn't go to parties a lot. Not because I wasn't invited, it just wasn't my scene. Like I didn't feel like being at the parties. There were a lot fewer smart ass, peculiar, and boundary pushing teachers than I ever expected. Like that's the thing you get in high school movies a lot is like you get the smart ass teacher or the weird teacher that has like this thing about him, or the one who's like kind of flirting with all the senior girls but not really all the way there flirting, but very pushing that boundary. Like none of those things existed. They were just, again, very lame, tame white bread ass people trying to teach me things that sometimes they didn't know themselves.
Dude, I had all that in high school. My football coach, oh my god, he was banging girls. Dude, high school was intense. We had all the cliches. It was great.
None here. Sports, way less important. That's probably a function of my school, because I know other high schools, like the Friday night football game is huge, but my school, people were like there for it, but they didn't give a shit if we won or lost.
Yeah,
we weren't winning any state championships, so it didn't matter.
Dang, it's not the case around here.
I will say that as in high school movies, class was definitely the least important aspect of high school, at least for me.
Oh,
so
100%.
that's like the 37% that held up.
It's like just drool over chicks and fucking World of Warcraft. That was about it. Pizza.
So
Halo.
Do you recall either the exact moment or the point in time where that illusion of, well, high school is going to be like the movies, where did that die for you?
First, I got to go back to this real quick, and then I'll go into that.
For it.
Speaking of quirky teachers, I actually had my language arts teacher, or he's like my creative writing teacher. He toured with Jay-Z when he was younger.
Nice.
He was a rapper. A.D. Carson. He has fantastic poetry.
Shout out A.D. Carson.
Yeah.
Reverse shout out all of my high school English teachers.
A.D. the Great. He's a fucking baller, and I think he's pretty high up in the BLM movement now, and he was a fantastic teacher. But the moment it died for me was I was not in the locker room, but I was in like the weightlifting room, after class, at the end of the day, you'd go lift, and I was a freshman, and this was probably 3 weeks into high school. The beginning of the year, you hardly know anyone. There's
Right.
900 more kids, and I had Duffel Bag Boy as my ringtone.
Go and get your money, little
Right.
duffel bag boy. Yep.
As my
I just listened
ringtone.
to that the other day. Came on the shuffle.
It's still a decent song, man. The chorus is
Banger.
at least good. And I had my phone on loud, obviously, in my backpack in the weight room, and we were having like a big team meeting, and my dad, it was Nextel at the time too, so
Oh yeah.
the radio. So he comes over the
Yep,
radio. He's
hit
like,
that
"Son, I'm here. I have Hardee's," and then
Nice.
and then he started calling me belligerently, and I couldn't find my backpack or my phone, and eventually I found it, but I had stepped on it in the melee and broke my $500 Nextel phone.
Yo, those Nextels were unbreakable.
Oh, dude, I got so much shit for that. That immediately broke, because no one gave a shit. Everyone just made fun of me. And then,
Oh, absolutely.
dude, people hung that over my fucking head forever. There was no cool friends. There was no
I mean,
pep
honestly,
talk from the coach.
that sounds a lot like a high school movie. You just weren't the main character in a high school movie. You were the shitbreak of the high school movie.
Right, exactly. And that's the point the illusion died for me, because I thought I was going to be popular and cool, and I
You
wasn't.
thought you were Stifler, and you were shitbreak.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nick.
Yeah. I mean, I was also just not I was a very odd character.
Yeah, that happens. I was
High school.
So for me, it was like literally a month into freshman year. I just gave up on even trying to have that type of experience or making any piece of that experience work. I think like some of it could have been there if I would have tried to pursue it. Like I could have gone to parties and done shit like that. I was just almost immediately disillusioned with the rest of my class, like the other kids in my grade, that I couldn't handle. And I was already in advanced classes, and there was a point in ninth grade where I'm like, I'm just gonna fucking skip 10th grade. I'm in all the classes with those kids anyways, and I just don't want to be in classes because there were like some electives and shit that I had to be with them because we were technically in the same grade, and the kids in my ninth grade class were just gonna go extreme John Ralphio voice here, the worst.
The worst in the world.
There were like maybe 4 people that were cool, but most were not, and I couldn't imagine spending like the next 4 years as these people being my peer group and my quote unquote best friends, the ones that I'm gonna go through this sweet high school experience with. Like I just couldn't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan. I usually hung out with a bit of the older.
I had several friends in the class above mine and several friends in the class below mine. They both classes were just like the people in them were generally better people and like more mature. My class, I don't know how, but especially the boys were just like the most immature group of people that I've ever met.
I don't know what happened.
Across the board. And
Yeah.
I was just stuck with them.
That's fair.
So I kind of like I isolated myself from most of them, did my own thing. I ended up graduating a year early anyways, and like that was so liberating that I was like, okay, I don't have to be around these fucktards anymore. I don't know, can I say that? I don't know if that's a good word.
Just fucking say it, Kevin. It's all
right. And once I got to college, like I made up for like some of those experiences, like the adventures and all that kind of shit. And me and my friends that I did have, like we would do some of that stuff. It just wasn't like we didn't have. It wasn't like the Jim and Kevin and Finch and Oz group of friends. I had these different segments of friends where it was like a couple kids from the class above me I would hang out with, and then on different days I would hang out with a couple kids from the class below me, and it was, I don't feel like I missed that much by isolating from the kids in my class.
No, and I feel I did a lot of that myself because the kids in my class were fucking violent. Like I just, like I was gonna mention this as a runner-up for the point the illusion died for me. It was freshman year, about 6 weeks in, and I was in one of the main bathrooms, and we had this big so think of a fountain, circular fountain, and you have a bar underneath it, so it's raised on a pillar, and that bar initiates water, so it's basically a big sink to wash your hands. And I'm standing there, and there's this
I've seen
other
Harry
dude.
Potter. I know what you're talking about.
Do they have that in Harry Potter? Okay, so anyway, we're standing there washing our hands, and this dude across from me is just like, he's minding his own business. and then a group of like 6 kids walk in, and at this point I'm like drying my hands and I'm sensing something's going on, and then they just like grab him and just start beating the dog shit out of him. So I'm like, what? I'm trying to fucking dry my hands super fast and get the fuck out of there. And then our like big security guard runs in there, and then a couple hours later I saw him with a fucking black eye. It was like, yeah, this is not for me. I'm not fucking tight with this. This is way more than I thought. I thought you could just punch a kid in the face once and it's done. Did not turn out that way.
Yeah, we had no raucous parties, no dance floor orgies, anything like that going on that you see in these high school movies. Yeah.
Too bad.
Fights with security guards, whatever. We didn't have any of that.
Yeah, I had a cop at my front door every day at the school. He was really cool. His name was I can't remember his first. His last name was Officer. It was Officer Gray. Oh, it was Gray Wolf. That fucking
I'm not buying
dude.
that. He made that name up.
I mean, okay, probably. I was a dumbass high school kid. I wasn't just like, yeah. I mean, I avoided the cop as much as possible.
You're a regular Ben Wyatt.
Pretty much. That is how it is for me. I do not like it.
So, Nick, as much as I'd love to hear more about your high school experience and as you're going through puberty and whatnot, let's move on to the Superlatives.
Let's do it.
Worst high school, what do you got?
The one Harry and Lloyd attend in Dumb and Dumberer. That it's just a shithole place with shithole people treating people
no
like shit.
Back to the Future, 3/4 of 10 things I hate about you. No Mean Girls, but Dumb and Dumberer, we're gonna pull that one out. All right.
You telling me you haven't seen that movie?
I've seen it.
Okay then.
I don't remember what the high school's like.
Oh, it's terrible. They treated disabled kids like trash. It was not good.
I went with Coach Carter. I cheated here.
I almost
easy.
went with this too.
Pretty much just destitute. And then my honorable mention here was, again, going back to D3, the Mighty Ducks, because a school that only cares about hockey, that's a hard pass for me.
Yeah, we have a football one.
Football's better than hockey.
Yeah, I agree, but either way, I feel you.
So worst friends, I went with Mean Girls, because they're not friends. They're just a group of hot girls that hang out together to enhance the cheerleader effect of each of them. They trash each other the minute they're out of earshot. And I couldn't go. I know I've said Mean Girls a lot, but I couldn't go through this whole thing without giving Mean Girls an actual award.
Yeah. Still gotta see it.
Sorry I had to be a superlative, but
poor Mean Girls. It's alright.
There's nothing good about the high school in Mean Girls, I will say that.
That's fair.
It's just a good movie.
Well, I'll take your word for it until I see it 5 years from now. Probably. Something like that.
And then I had an honorable mention here. It's this movie Go, which is like a 1997 movie. I'm sure you haven't seen this. It is not like one of these highly touted movies. My wife made me watch it a couple weeks ago.
It sounds super familiar.
There's a group of 3 people. They tried to sell drugs at a rave to make some rent money because their normal dealer was in Vegas. They all got into some different kinds of shit and then just left each other completely hanging. One girl almost died by getting hit by a car. Another guy OD'd and got left in an alleyway under some trash. And then they were like, oh, I'll come back for you. But then just left him there and finally remembered him the next day. And he was just like still completely zonked out of his mind. And the third girl, Katie Holmes, she just like wanders off not giving a shit about either of these two. And meets up with the new dealer at the diner and fucks him. Like, very bad friends.
Sounds
very
like
bad friends.
Weird movie.
It's an interesting movie because they do this thing where they tell it from 3 different characters' perspectives. They tell it from the one girl's perspective, like the dealer who goes to Vegas. They tell it from his perspective, and I think Katie Holmes is the last perspective. So like you get to see the night replay in different people's perspectives, and it's kind of cool how it's done. Definitely not a necessary watch though.
Right.
And very kind of like a difficult watch.
It's kind of fucking sounds like it.
Yeah.
Leaving your
Who'd you have for
heroin
worst?
zonked. Yeah. Worst friends. I got Cindy's friends from Scary Movie because they straight up try to kill her, and one literally beats her up.
Yeah, that's fair.
And they destroy her house, drink her beer, get her dad arrested, and investigated by the FBI, and, a lot more.
Yeah.
Shitty friends.
Right. Sorry, Scary Movie. Worst parents. Who you got, Nick?
I got Margaret White, single mom here. That's Carrie's mom from the movie Carrie. She is super...
Again, very fair.
She's pretty shitty, and she oppresses the shit out of her kid, leads her to believe that all the bad things in her life are done to her because she has sinned. She's a sinner, and, all that's, her dad left because he, is a sinner and stolen by sin and all this good stuff. She's just not well put together. Not put together at all, man.
No, and like it basically forces Carrie into freaking out on everybody at the prom.
She kills a
Who
lot of
can blame
people.
her? Yeah. I went with the Breakfast Club, which, as we discussed, you haven't seen, but all of the kids in the Breakfast Club's parents are shitty in their own individual shitty way, and there's not much more to it. Like, there's a whole scene where they each talk about how shitty their parents are, and like it's pretty easy. And honorable mention here, I cheated, I got to do it. Spider-Man: Homecoming, worst parents, they're dead. Can't be a good parent if you're dead.
It crossed my mind. It did.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Can't be a good parent if you're dead. Sorry.
That's a good point.
It's not how it works.
I mean, maybe he isn't dead.
That's in Amazing Spider-Man.
That's debatable.
But also, in Amazing Spider-Man, he's a pretty shitty dad, too, because he's not dead, and he's just letting his kid believe he's dead for, like, the last 7 years, so...
Yeah, left him
Fuck
with
that,
only,
too.
like, a fucking briefcase?
Yeah.
Come on, you can do better than
He's
that.
with some, like, some weird coins, they solve a mystery around. Come on, now.
Yeah, lame.
Least likely to succeed, I went with Tweeter from Varsity Blues. It's even called out in the movie. Somebody asked him, Tweeter, you think you'll enjoy prison? And he's just like, I don't know. Maybe. Like, he's going to be in jail so fast. And he's also probably going to be working at, like, the town's grocery store and just trying to make every weekend homecoming. There's one point in the movie he makes fun of, like, this 40-year-old dude that's at, like, the football part of the high school football party. And that's going to be him. Like, he's going to be that dude in 20 years, so...
That sucks.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
He's not going to be successful. Honorable mention here, Donnie Darko from Donnie Darko. He died.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
He did achieve time travel, though, technically.
Yeah, but nobody knows about it.
That's all right. I mean, that's
He can't be successful. I mean, he was successful in his quest, but he's not going to succeed in life. Because he did.
Yeah, he did. He gone.
Who did you have for least likely to succeed?
I got Mary from Superstar. She makes out with a tree. She's not very attractive and doesn't do well with a lot of guys. She doesn't have many talents.
A tough road ahead of her. Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't have a good support system.
That's a really good pull though. As a high school movie.
I mean, no parents. So once again, the dead ones come into play. I do not think she's gonna do well. I just think she is too awkward. No, if she goes to her first job interview, I can just imagine
she's got nobody to guide her through any of that stuff either.
Right. And
who's gonna help her? 50-year-old Will Ferrell, who's still in high school, who makes fun of her the whole time.
That tree. I mean, it is an old oak, Calvin, but it's not wise like we want it to be.
And I get like this movie is like it's supposed to be like a Saturday Night Live movie. Like it's probably the most egregious of the like these people. There's no way in hell they're in high school. Right. Will Ferrell's like 40. Molly Shannon's probably mid-30s. Like, no way. Really fun movie though.
I know, I love that movie. Be a superstar.
I didn't even think of that one. I gotta rewatch that.
There you go.
Final sucklative, the worst couple. A lot of options to work with here.
Yeah, quite a few.
What do you got?
I am going back to The Well. It's, I gotta go with Gwen and Will from Sky High because Gwen is an evil villain and she totally, Will totally bailed on his chick that loves him, who he loves, he doesn't want to admit, to be popular, and she kind of turns everyone into babies. So as a couple, they just fucking suck. Yeah, she makes him suck more.
I'm going to go with my honorable mentions first. Breakfast Club. You got Claire and Bender. You got Andrew and Allison. Both just they leave detention as quote unquote couples. By the time school starts Monday, none of them will be couples.
No, they'll get to like second base and be like, yeah, bye.
Not even that. They're never even going to speak to each other again. Spider-Man: Homecoming. Peter and Liz. Very like they're not going to be a good couple. Sorry. They could have been if her dad wasn't a psycho.
Yeah.
Literal supervillain. Superbad. Seth and Jules. They're not going to make it either.
That's not going to fly.
No. And it's not just because she's way out of his league. Like he is going to constantly have this anxiety that she's out of his league, and he's just going to continually fuck up. And she's just going to be like, eventually she's going to be like, you know what? Yeah, I am too good for you. Fuck off.
Yeah, you are really mean. So stop it.
Yeah, and he's an asshole. Like, he's funny, but he's also an asshole. So
yeah, it doesn't work out.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ferris and Sloane. Again, Ferris is just he's going to be on to bigger and better things real quick. She doesn't seem to mind either. American Pie. Jim and Michelle. I know they eventually get married. I don't actually see that working in real life. They only got married because they had to have sequels.
Yeah, not good chemistry.
No, it just the way they got together, I think is true to life, but that doesn't usually lead to a very long and happy relationship.
No, definitely not.
But the winner of the worst couple goes to Scream for Sydney and Billy.
Yeah, not a good one.
He systematically killed everyone around her and then tried to kill her. We're not exactly looking at The Notebook here.
Right, that is not tight.
No, don't kill all of your girlfriend's friends and then try and kill her.
Honestly, I don't remember what he did all that for.
It was something like, and the only reason I remember it because I saw it for the first time like 5 years ago. It was whenever Scream 4 was coming out. I did all the first three. It was something like her mom, his dad tried to rape her mom or something, and her mom got him arrested. So like he was out for vengeance against her mom, but her mom was gone for some reason, so he was taking it out on her. It was something to do with that.
That sounds terrible. But It was a classic. I remember it.
And then Matthew Lillard was just there to be like, he just wanted to fuck some shit up.
You dick! You hit me with a phone! That's one of the best lines.
It is. I agree. That's all we've got for the movie superlatives of teen/high school movies. Again, we don't know what this one's called, but you'll know because you read the description.
You'll have to tune in and find out.
You can follow us each on Twitter at APA something at alone_podcast. And all of the music for A Podcast About Something is provided by those cats.
You guys stay sassy.
Stay classy.